What do you make of, first of all, we're waiting for the House to vote. We've got this budget blueprint that says $880 billion has got to come out of Medicaid and Medicare. Everybody's in an uproar over that. And he's saying, no benefits will be touched. How do you get $888 billion out of these programs without touching people's benefits?
It's very, very difficult, Elizabeth. And that's why I think you see some resistance among Republicans who are Trump people. I mean, Tom Massey is not from Kentucky. Is not exactly a moderate Republican, right?
No.
I mean, this is a guy who is a Trump person, but who is very concerned about the budget, right? And how much deficit we are adding to it. So Harrison is not wrong in that this would not be a final product. He's right about that. They would have to be passed through the Senate, have a Congress committee. But $880 billion doesn't just come from nowhere, right? If we could have cut $880 billion, we would have already done it. So, I think that they are trying a little bit to have their cake and eat it too, sort of a, hey, just vote for it, wink, wink. We'll take care of things. Maybe they will. But I would say, look, I feel like we've been in this position many times. I have seen this screen that you are showing many times with a vote either open for an extended period of time like this one, a vote that they are planning to have and then they cancel. I mean, this is the reality of, yes, Republicans control Congress. And in the Senate, they have real legitimate control, a 4-seat majority. In the House, it's a 1-2-seat majority. It's just a very, very difficult thing to make it go. And I think you're seeing that right now. So,
I mean, I was so curious that Joe Khalil was saying off the top of the show that he wasn't sure that the votes are there. And why is Speaker Johnson bringing a vote to the floor if he isn't sure he has the votes, if that's true?
Okay, so for my many, many years of watching this stuff, one, called the vote yet, right? This is on a motion to suspend the rules. This is not on the actual passage of this budget bill. So they have not called the vote yet, and they have held this vote, as you guys noted, open for more than an hour. If they had the votes, Elizabeth, they would have closed this vote 2 minutes after it started and gone to the other vote so they could pass it.
So they don't have the votes.
No. If they had the votes, they'd be voting. That's a fundamental rule. Now, that doesn't mean they can't get them. Have them this second. Number two, there is, and Joe mentioned this, there is, when it's really close, there is something to be said, and it's very risky, but you can do it. There's something to be said for saying, look, we're not going to know exactly whether we're going to win by one or lose by one until we just force it. We force the vote. Right. They have the vote, and we put these people on the record. So it's one of those two things, but I will tell you, the longer this vote stays open, the more you should be convinced they do not currently have the votes. The second they believe they have them, they will close this vote and move on to the next one.
All right, so if this thing doesn't pass, what happens to President Trump's big agenda?
Well, I think attention immediately then goes back to the Senate, which has approved sort of a 2-bill plan, right? Basically immigration and national security in one bill, and then later they're going to address taxes and spending.
The elephant in the room.
Back there. Exactly. I mean, that's always the problem. It's like, oh, we'll handle that thing down the road, which has been the answer for Congress. It's why we're $36 trillion in debt, by the way. So they'll go back to the Senate, or the House will try to rework a few things and vote again on this. Again, here's the thing that Mike Johnson can't change. He has a 1 or 2 or maybe 3-seat majority or room to play with, depending on who shows up every day. It's always going to be tight, Elizabeth, because Democrats are not going to vote for this budget proposal. There's not going to be one Democrat who votes for this, which means you got to have basically every single member of that Republican conference on board, from the most MAGA to the most moderate. And that's very, very tough to do.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.